Now recording.
Oh my god!
What?
Okay, so okay, so like you heard that noise. Like I always like imitate it because I thought it was like a really stupid noise, and then you just did it there because
Oh,
I don't know. It was
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
yeah. Was my who has the better impression, me or you, Arjun?
Mine's just like
Uh,
really stupid.
no, Arjun like
Do it. Do it right
mocks us.
now.
I think you had a better impression.
Do it right now,
Yeah,
Arjun.
I now recording.
Now
Shit.
record. I've been
Oh
told I
man.
have a very good like a very soothing kind of podcast-esque voice that
You
I could be an
do.
announcer or
It
something.
definitely works. It definitely works.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
glad to be in my element here.
So should we start with the
All right. Yeah.
the
Introduction. So today we have no Dave because Dave is being Dave. We have Arjun, Gabe, and our special guest Miles Garcia. You wanna
It's me.
say anything introduction of yourself or no? Have to.
What would I say?
just tell us about your life.
Uh,
No,
Where'd
no,
you
no,
come
no.
from?
Okay, okay.
No,
Hold
who
on.
are
No,
you?
not yet. Who are you? Yeah, who are you?
my name is Miles Garcia. I am 18 years old. I attend Amherst College in Western Massachusetts. Um, and uh, yeah, that's me.
Sick. Perfect. All right. Great.
And I went to these guys' high school.
Don't say the name of the school.
Last year. I will not say the name of the school or where it is.
Yeah. So we try to avoid like proper nouns of like cities and school names and like people's names in general.
Mhm.
So like we abbreviate or we just like don't say it.
Cool.
Yeah, all right. So you want to start with where you grew up? Where you're born? Grew up?
Okay, we're getting deep here. I think I was born. I don't actually know exactly where I was born. It was somewhere in LA, and then I
Okay.
moved to. I grew up in Pasadena for like the first 3 years of my. Or wait, hold on. I'm getting. It's like for the first 5 years I was in like Pasadena and then Stockton, which is
Uh-huh.
Northern California, and then went to my hometown for the rest of like from age four to
Yeah. The rest
four
of
to
us are more or
18.
less.
Yeah. Um, and didn't really. We moved around like renting houses, but generally stayed in the same neighborhood.
Do you remember any of that? Like from 0 to 4 or none of it?
I don't. I think I started to remember. My memories like really get more concrete like from the age 4 on, because I had like I think when I came online was when I had my Spider-Man birthday party when I was 4, because like that was one of the DVDs at my grandma's house that I would just watch over and over again was the original Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Classic. I
Dude,
just
that's a good way to
rewatched.
be raised.
I actually rewatched. I have a hot take that I'm going to interrupt my story for. That
Do
like
it.
I think Spider-Man 3 is the best Spider-Man movie. Period.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Me and so with you,
Really?
Gabe?
That's
Wait,
a
was
really
that with
hot.
you?
No,
Were we
that's
talking about
insane.
this?
Yeah, me and Gabe were arguing about this yesterday.
Wow. Okay. Topical then.
What's your
Yeah, very
list name?
topical.
Like your
Yeah,
top
what's your
can you
list? Give it.
can you
My
rate the Spider-Mans?
me?
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah. I've written a letterboxed review of all the Spider-Man. Um. Let's consult this. Let me
Pull
find
it
out what I.
up.
Yeah, but okay. The what do you mean? Hold up.
No, pull it up. Pull up your
Oh
review.
no, okay. I'm doing that. I'm not gonna read this whole thing because it's actually quite long. But yeah, I think it's somewhat. I haven't seen Spider-Verse in like a long time or since it. I think I saw it twice, like when it came out. And I think Spider-Man 3 might be slightly better because just skimming through what I have here. Uh, some of my opinion must have to do with nostalgia, of course. Probably watched this one the most amount of times, and just the poster alone has influenced like my visual language. But it's also like I think a lot of the criticisms, like the cringe factor of evil Peter Parker, like that's definitely meant to be cringe. Like you can see other citizens of New York looking at him like he's crazy as he walks down the street with his hair and his black tuxedo and everything because he is crazy. And like the piano scene, like I don't know how much you guys remember from this, but the piano scene in the bar where he like I don't know, like takes over and starts doing this insane dance number with Gwen Stacy is like actually incredibly well staged, and it's meant to be so ridiculous and like so off the wall that it's like I don't know. It's like pretty. It's just a lot of. It's a series of.
Can so get one. Me and Arjun look into movies that heavy.
It's a series of like high wire acts in terms of filmmaking that are just insanely like I don't know, great action sequences. Like I rewatched Spider-Man 2 as well, and I was like, okay, this has some of the best action sequences of like the 2000s. And then I watched Spider-Man 3 and said, let me retract my earlier statement because this is actually the best. And it's like, yeah, I guess I didn't realize like before or when I was just watching these as a kid, like how much um, it kind of influenced me because I'm now interested, like really interested in movies, and I want to make
Yeah.
movies. So
I guess
like
that's a pretty good way
noticing
to go into it. You know,
it's what?
that's a pretty good way to go into it. You know,
Yeah, for
talk about
sure.
your interest in movies.
I think yeah, interest in movies that began beginning of high school, I want to say, or like end of 8th grade, beginning of high school, because I would rewatch like Ratatouille a lot. That's my favorite Pixar movie, and that
Uh,
is like still one of my favorite movies. I haven't seen it in a while though, but like, um, so yeah, it's more like just I would take like things that I watched in childhood and start like analyzing them because I realized that some things there would be like details that I would notice that I would be like that I just kind of assumed I had assumed my whole life were cool coincidences that the filmmakers didn't even figure out. But then like once you start getting into I don't know like deeper readings of books or deeper readings of in English class in high school, it's like oh this is actually like no the author's definitely doing this stuff on purpose and like you're allowed to notice these cool things. So like then with film that applies it's like the same amount of application you can get that out of like with books, but it's threefold because you have the dialogue and the actions, and then you have the how it looks, and then you have how it sounds. So it's like all can I don't know. I think it's like it's the medium for me that has the highest potential. Um, but unfortunately, it's just like it's like it has the highest amount of potential, but it's also kind of the lowest has the most saturation of the lowest common denominator bullshit like you've ever seen. Um, like there's so many terrible movies and so many to me it seems so many more infamous and terrible movies than there are infamous and terrible books.
Can
Yeah.
you give an example of a movie that you feel is absolutely terrible?
Um, I, I guess I tend not to watch bad
Of
movies
course.
on purpose because they just make me depressed. Like
Yeah, I feel that.
I'm not even joking. Like I seriously try not to like every time I watch a movie, I'm thinking it's going to be good, and then it just sometimes ends up not being good. But like, what's an example of? Let me look through my ratings here.
Mhm.
Bohemian Rhapsody, terrible. Um,
Really?
yes,
I kind of like
terrible,
it.
terrible movie. Cannot believe it won 4 fucking Oscars. The only
Gotta
Oscar
watch
it
it.
didn't win.
That
The
part is
only
really
Oscar it
crazy.
didn't win that it was nominated for was Best Picture, which I find ridiculous. Um, yeah, that's like I think the. Do you want me to like list more titles or explain this one?
I mean, you don't gotta explain more titles, but you can explain that one if you want.
Yeah, I think it's like the editing was really bad, and I'm about to sound like now that we've got into this conversation, I'm really about to sound like a complete ass. But like
Do it. Do it.
that's the thing about like I don't really care if other people like these movies or if other people have different opinions than mine because that's like of course that's going to happen. I don't really you can like whatever you want, but the thing is like this is like it's just a matter of me noticing like my own visual language and what I like pay attention to and what bugs me and what I like. So it's like I don't know. I think it's like each time you watch a movie, it should be like a very personal experience. So that's like
Mhm.
what I'm kind of explaining here, rather than some objective truth, which I don't want people to think. But like, so Bohemian Rhapsody, I thought that the really bad editing and like the really bad like sense of purpose and its only sense of purpose seems to be like let's put these iconic characters in a movie and just whatever happens happens, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
very thrown together and like not uh didn't really feel like it was cohesive as anything, but just like a pile of scenes.
Damn. All right,
Is this
I
like
got a
what?
question.
Okay, go ahead.
You want to go?
I was gonna say, like, is this like a natural thing that you just like analyze, or do you
Well,
like
it's something that
think
I,
about?
you pick up and then you develop it, you know. It's not
That's
like there are definitely times where I need to like force myself to watch movies because I know that I should, but it becomes sort of an academic thing, which kind of happened by accident, which is like I really want to like pay attention to what I'm doing because if you're really paying attention, then that leaves potential for like if there's like a really good movie that you're watching and you're paying attention to every single detail, then it'll like reward you for that. The problem comes in and where I've been having trouble recently is like I give all this attention to just kind of mediocre movies and it takes all the energy out of me without me getting something out of the experience.
uh
Mhm.
Damn. So when did all this like start for you? Like you said, I know you said you had it with Spider-Man 3, but like was that the start of it where you were like, I'm really into movies and I really like the experience?
Mm, no, I think it's something that developed over time and also that I was always it wasn't always that like I'm just really into movies in particular. I think it was where it really began was my love for writing when I was younger and like in second grade I started writing like all these short stories. Um, and like that became my thing. Oh my God, I'm gonna be a published author one day, you know?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that was my thing. Um, and then I just kept doing and you keep writing and keep writing and keep writing, and I'm still doing that. And so that's why like that was like my main interest. And that's so now I'm like I've written a few like short screenplays, a few plays, etc. So it's like that's where it began. But I guess I just didn't um notice because I'm like at first I was working with more with prose instead of like a script format. It was like all I kind of knew was books. You know, like that was oh this is the thing. If you're going to be a writer, you write books.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then when I was like actually kind of exposed to movies that weren't just things that I would watch in the theater, like as an event, you know, like a at a birthday party or something, then it's like then you can kind of start to pay attention and notice things that are like that it's like expanding if books are two-dimensional then movies are three-dimensional, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you see, kind of see all those like when I saw all those possibilities or not when I saw them but like when I kind of took stock in them that was much later
Makes
that
sense.
as I said like began sort of with high school which then I would like obviously go back and look at the movies that I enjoyed more as a child and see the detail that had been there that I maybe even that I maybe noticed initially but just was like not conscious of something that would really be important to me at that point, you know.
Yeah.
Is there a certain movie that made you do this, or is it just you just realized it one day?
I think the main thing I mentioned Ratatouille, and then
Yeah.
I
Mm.
think there's like a little triad here with a main one. So the other two were Whiplash and The Artist. But I think The Artist was like the main thing. Do you guys know what that is?
No.
I haven't watched it.
I
Okay.
don't
It
know.
was a Best Picture. It used to be one of my favorites. It's the Best Picture winner from 2011. And that was it's like a silent film that came out in 2011 that's about um, sort of the history of silent movies and like it was like the transition from silent movies to talkies in the 20s.
Oh
And
wait, it's the black and white one, right?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think they might show it in like a class at school.
Yeah, I think that they showed it to us in our freshman year.
Yeah, so
Yeah, they might have. Looking at
that
this
was
right now.
definitely yeah. So hopefully like people are familiar with this, but like that was a turning point for me. And regardless of whether I enjoy, like I used to really love Whiplash too, and that was I still like it now, but it's not one of my um I don't think it's like fantastic still, but it like, just these formative things that were like getting me to it's like building a muscle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that you can explore like kind of new areas.
And so, like, when you were like exploring all these things, how was it received by like other people? Like, whether it was like your parents, like, I don't know, siblings, cousins, or like friends?
Uh, that's an interesting question. I like my parents are like pretty supportive of me, I guess, but like it's not something that I really wanted it to be noticed as like, oh yeah, that's Miles's thing, like that's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's something that I would just like that's just what I did with my time. So if someone asked me a question like, what do you do with your time? I'm like, oh, this is it. And so it kind of like categorized me in a way, which I guess isn't. I mean, that's kind of fair, but like it I think to other people, and even at the beginning of this, this episode, it was like I have to clarify that I'm not like an asshole, because I think there's such a connotation of like of of if someone is like explaining, particularly men, like if men are explaining, it's like these, oh, you don't understand the art of it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Film buff.
it's really just about my relationship with the piece, and I'm not trying to like do. I'm the only way that I would like people to kind of interact with me in that way is like if they watch or read my stuff, not just have me talk about it because that's so boring. So
Yeah.
then if when people like react in a way that like, oh, hey, you make movies, or you're so creative, or you're so whatever, it's just it gets kind of exhausting. It gets kind of like, well,
Yeah.
I don't that those aren't things that actually help me. And those are things that like it's a distraction from just me sitting alone in my room watching and writing stuff. So and that's like where I have my most fun. Oh, David says my bad guys for
He's
uh
playing baseball right now, which no warning whatsoever. Just,
Wait, is it a game right now?
I mean, I would assume. Like, I feel like you can't really play baseball by yourself.
I mean, you can kind of. I mean, if you got like a.
Throw the ball in the air, pick your bat up, and then hit it, like, and then
I
chase
mean,
your
yeah,
ball.
that's a normal thing to do. Or if you have like a pitching machine or something. I don't know.
You have a pitching
Dave does
machine.
not have a pitch. No one has a pitching machine.
in my
I don't
backyard. I have
know.
a big machine.
You
Oh.
do?
No, that was a complete joke.
Okay. All
Imagine,
right. Well,
yeah, imagine having a pitching machine in your backyard. Like how rich your dad would have to be.
Also, how big your yard would have to be.
Yeah.
Look,
yeah.
man.
How annoyed your
I
neighbors
don't
would be.
know.
You just like break like 10 windows.
I think that it's like it's in a contained space, but it's also like a very large contained space.
Yeah.
No, you put the net thing up.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Red gets me.
Yeah.
You
That makes
put
You
the
just
Okay,
get
but
right into the
that's
net.
like an indoor thing, Ridwan. That's not like a, I don't know.
No, because like even at the baseball field, you know how they have like the cage behind the like where you bat? Like if you just face that way when you hit, then the ball will hit the fence instead of like going out. Does that make sense?
I don't know
I
what
get
you're
what you're
talking about.
saying. I don't know if Arjun does, but I get what you're saying.
Let's shift gears back to Miles, to be honest.
All right, yes. Let's do that. All right. So you said that so you said you didn't want it to be like known as your thing. And I think I don't know, I feel like you did a pretty good job of that because I honestly didn't even know. Like I never associated that with you when I met you or like when I seen you for like at least the first like 2 years of high school. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I didn't know for a while.
Well, I think that's also just because I'm a pretty private guy, you know.
Yeah.
I if so what I would like to put forth about my personality first is that like I don't know. I guess I'm just like I like to be nice to people and make them feel good. So that's like my priority. It's not about, none of this is really about me. It's
Yeah.
about like just having a cool conversation or cool experience and writing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh I don't know if you want to shift gears, you could talk about like
Wait. Have you heard that there's a new person doing Miles Manifesto?
I've
Yeah,
heard
do you know about that?
I've heard
I
it's
was
been
just
a bit of a drama. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
it
and
Yeah.
he's
sucks.
bad at it.
It
Okay,
sucks.
wait. To establish Miles of the Miles Manifesto, where every Monday after a school meeting, he'd give a quote and say how many times left to class, how much time left to class. Now there's a new person doing it who's bad at it.
Now you got to go back even further. There's a
Fuck that
history.
stupid ass
It
Yeah,
sophomore,
was
bro.
originally
yeah,
another Miles
there
that
was
started it.
I I can explain a bit more of the history. I'm curious though first who so I didn't know someone picked it up like permanently. I thought it was just kind of like a I don't know, they were failing to find a little cycle or audition people or something.
They were trying to audition people for it, and they had this system to like they decided to have everyone vote in the stupidest way possible. But basically they chose this.
What was that stupid way?
Okay,
Loudest cheering.
basically,
Oh,
yeah, they had everyone speak, like all the people that are auditioning speak, and
There were
during
like
town meeting, they
15
were like,
people.
okay, everybody cheer, and whoever cheers the loudest, that person, whatever person gets the most cheers, that person will be the winner, right?
that is kind of like on theme for our high school though. Yeah.
Now, and so the kid that like nobody really wanted to get the job got the job.
Because
No, but it's
one
also because he also has a bunch of fanboys in that grade. Like, I don't know why, but they just love him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
We,
year is
we
it?
honestly don't even know his name, which is why we're
No,
saying
no,
that
no, I
kid.
do, I do, I do.
You
he's
do?
2 years
I
below
typed
us.
it. I typed it in
Ah,
general.
interesting.
You know who that is? I'm sure you don't know who that is.
No, is he a freshman or
Sophomore.
yeah, probably not then.
But
Um,
yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
The energy is just not the same anymore.
yeah, I don't know because they
Very
really
different
didn't have
vibe.
to. The thing is, it's like it seems like such a forced thing because they really didn't have to do anything about it. They could have just ended town meeting after the last announcement was done. I think like it's a way of like continue like the school is continuing an inside joke that the students are already over, something like
Yeah.
that. Where
Well,
like
you can back up and give history to it and give
yeah, let me
history.
give a history to this thing. So when I was a freshman, um, there was another Miles in his senior year who was actually also the student body president. And since his freshman year, so this is now like that would now be like what 7 years ago. Since his freshman year, he would like he started this thing where he would say a quote at the end of like what we have meetings on Mondays at the beginning of the week. And so like after all the announcement has been made for the week, he'd like go up and say, you are what you eat. Anonymous. 10 minutes to class. I don't know. That's like a
Oh
terrible
man,
quote.
feels good to hear it again.
Yeah. But yeah, so he'd go up and say something that a famous person has said that would, inspire or like give some sort of like emotion to the rest of your week. Give power to the students, Um, but it's just that, or it's just a tongue in cheek thing. It's like a cool, like oh, it's a little cool tradition. We have that. It's kind of cool. And so I thought, there was actually another Miles in my grade who we started to pick it up in sophomore year, but then he stopped for some reason. So I just kept doing it.
Oh,
So
wow.
I thought, why not continue this thing? It'd be like, my name is Miles. It's really not a big commitment. I just have to like scramble on my phone for famous quotes before each town meeting and say it. And it actually was like, I mean, I always felt like I've always been sort of awkward and sort of anxious around people. And so definitely taking that risk of being like just talking in front of people every week felt it started to like get me out of my comfort zone in a way that also I had done with theater, which we haven't talked about theater yet, so maybe that's like another topic. But like yeah, putting myself out there and like doing whatever, and it became like not a big deal to me almost like I don't think it was as big of a deal to me as it is still is apparently to you guys. Um,
No,
and
because
that
it's
doesn't.
like, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
It's just like the thing that whenever, because nobody's listening during town meeting. Like, we're all just like trying to get out, right? And then we
Yeah,
see you walk up, and it's like a relief almost, and we just get to
yeah,
like go.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that actually. I never really thought about it that way. Um, but yeah, so I did this thing from my sophomore to senior year, and then I just, obviously I left, so it was over. And so now, what I heard was that initially, if you guys like, he emailed me at the end of my senior
Yeah.
year. I shouldn't. You have to bleep out his name. Whoops, I
Yeah,
forgot.
right.
Uh,
Okay.
but he emailed me towards the end of the year, and he's like, um, it was this fanciful like language, and like I'd love to take on your role as manifestoing. Um, and I was like, okay, sure, but like I really didn't have any say in that, or I didn't, nor did I want any. It wasn't like I honestly didn't think it would be such a big deal. What the school doesn't realize is that you guys are just seeing it as like a release from town meeting, whereas they're seeing it as some
Story
insane.
tradition.
Yeah, it's like this thing that's been for generations. I mean, I guess it has been for generations, but it's like really not an important like
Yeah.
thing, or as like I don't think I really deserve that much credit, I guess.
It's like when they do like a really bad run-on sequel just for the sake of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
It feels like they're pushing a sequel for no reason.
right. And
Yeah.
now it's like, well, just if it's just kind of there, like explain this guy's approach to me, because why is he like disappointing?
It's just
him. He's just
yeah,
like a
I don't know.
disappointing person. I don't know. His
The
quotes
vibes
aren't
aren't there.
necessarily like, I don't know. They don't fit the vibe.
yeah. They're
First
just
of all,
not
yeah,
there.
he does not have good quotes, and then it's just I don't know. Maybe it is a tradition thing of like seeing you walk up there versus seeing like a little kid walk up there.
Well, it says to
Yeah.
some kid, I have no idea who he is. Like, I don't know about the rest of you, but I have no idea who this kid is.
Nah, I've only heard his name.
I don't
I've
know if
never seen him
people-
outside of doing this.
yeah, I don't even know if people knew who I was though either. Or I
Yeah.
mean, I know you guys obviously like semi, but like, or people knew me from
Yeah.
being friends with other people, but like, what I guess like I never saw myself as a celebrity, which maybe I was.
You were a little bit, but not that much.
Yeah.
I got a
I don't know.
question. So you said you were stepping outside of your comfort zone. How was it? Like, when you normally go up and you give an announcement and like your friends are there like supporting you, so they'll like clap for you and you get like some sort of positive reinforcement. And then like I'm sure in the beginning you might have felt like very awkward about it. How was it when you like don't get any reinforcement? Because like when you're giving your announcement of like how many minutes left of class, instead of like people paying attention and like clapping, like everybody's getting up and walking away.
Yeah, that's something that I kind of embraced, I think. Like it wasn't the fact that I know they're not paying attention to me is kind of relaxing. And that because I know I would do just exactly the same thing if I were in their position. That like, oh, it's the end of town meeting guy. Let's get up.
Mm.
But even then, like I think,
Yeah.
but combined with that, like people would come up to me and say like, or just the fact that Miles Manifesto was like a topic that was like a topic of discussion. Like that means that they care about it enough, and that they're not just like they don't just hate me, and that's why they're getting up to leave. It's because they need to. There's only 10 minutes to class. They got to hurry up.
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever have trouble with like, or did you ever have like awkward situations where like people are like, "Oh, you should do this as the quote" or something, and you're like, I don't really know if I want to do
Yeah,
that.
I guess I'm like, yeah, I think I was kind of I still am a bit of a people pleaser. So that's always like an awkward situation. Or just the entirety of high school was an awkward situation. And that was like, I don't know. Part of this was just like one element of me navigating that and being confused as to who knew who I was or what I was doing there or what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that was like a big thing was in high school that like I don't looking back on it, it seems very much like I wouldn't say the entire thing is a waste of time, but the things that are not the like 30% of high school that's not a waste of time is so spread out thin that you get like little bursts of like, oh, that's actually useful. And then it drones on for a little bit. And then you get, oh, that's useful. So it feels kind of looking back on it now, it's like not very full.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
at least definitely not like I've had a much better experience in college. So and that was kind of the thing. Like by the time I mentioned this earlier, but I don't know if we were recording already, but like my senior year was like, let me just wait until I escape from here, and also like escape from just my house and my family because that was always annoying. But like, let me just escape from here and let me get to a place where I can actually do what I want, and I'll do anything to get there. I'll like forge someone's signature on my college applications. That'll get me in, which I didn't do. I actually wouldn't have done that. I don't know why I said that. But
Yeah,
what,
guys,
what
I
I mean, what I mean
totally
is
would
like,
have done that.
no, what I meant is like, I'll like, let me just write the essays. Let me write a damn good essay, and let me get into this school that I want to go to because like, this is gonna be there. There's like no hope for me, here, and I kind of accepted that.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
I've been feeling too. Like
Well, you're already in.
I know, but I'm saying like but I really wanted to like get in like super bad. I was like all in on because I told you guys like I was all in on this one school. Like I
Uh-huh.
literally didn't do a single application until I got my result back from that one school. And
I
so
know it works for you.
yeah, it did end up working. But like yeah, I don't know. Like I've just been like super only like like my sight is set on college and I don't really give a fuck about like school right now.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's totally fair. I think it's like a lot of the work. It is helpful to do a lot of the work that they tell you to do in high school. However, you're only really it's sort of like running with weights on or something like that, or like doing something doing like a harder version of something. Because then when you get to college, it's like for me, it's been I don't really annotate my shit, or when I do, it's like I only annotate the things that are actually going to be important to me for essay writing or for discussion, and they make you annotate like everything in high school. Or that's
Yeah.
just one example, but like it
Mhm.
it may feel like a lot of the stuff you're doing right now is meaningless, and that's because it is. But it's
Mhm.
kind of like it's just training for when you get to the real world and no one gives a shit about what's going on with you. So you kind of have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, overall, did you find, I guess besides senior year, did you find high school fun?
Uh, yeah, I sort of mentioned this earlier, but like I'm seeing everything in like a new context now. So I think I did find it fun, and like mainly I liked a lot of people that were
You
there.
always seem like you're having a pretty good time.
I always did, but I think like I, I don't want to get like too real here, but I think
I
like
know looks aren't everything though, so
what? No,
you
no,
don't have
no.
to do everything.
I think
You
I
don't have to
was
include
right. I think I was like kind of okay, but like the more so I started like I'm not gonna like go into this because this is like I don't want to like bring the mood down, but I did start like going to therapy when I was when I got to college, and like now I'm definitely realizing like I was pretty like sad for the majority of my life, and that includes high school.
Uh-huh.
So like, but it wasn't, but that's like relative to now, and I think that a lot of the dissatisfaction with like not like depression level, but like
Mm-hmm.
there were times where it would just get
Yeah.
like I wouldn't know like I didn't know how to handle things, and I didn't know if like, oh, is this what is how do I explain this? Like, is this actually bad, or am I overreacting, or am I like I don't know what to compare this to, you know?
Yeah.
Um so that was like a lot of what was going on. However, I did feel supported by like I loved a lot of my teachers, made a lot of great friends, people who I'm still friends with now. And so I think a lot of it was valuable. It's just very easy for me to be apathetic about it now because it's like because one, a lot of the things I'm probably taking for granted, and two, what I look back on is like something that more so something that I had to get through versus something that was valuable to me, which it was very valuable to me, but it also was something to get through. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I think yeah, I think that kind of explains what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, it does. I think I don't know. I feel like you always. Yeah, I mean, like Gabe said, looks are not everything, but like from my perspective, you always like seem like such a happy kid. Not like happy, but you always knew to. It seemed like you always knew how to have fun and like
Yeah.
you seem kind of. You seem like very extroverted and like you like to mess with people.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
man.
very much that too.
Wow. That's interesting to hear. Yeah, I'm
Oh, like,
totally. I'm like. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No. It's your podcast.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like the most one of the most introverted people I know. Um, and like I guess the reason it comes I do like to kind of cause chaos, I guess, and that was like one of my shticks back then and still is, but like when yeah, I guess it is like a looks can be deceiving thing. It wasn't like I was unhappy during those times, but like I was not I'm like constantly worried that everyone hates me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like or that I'm doing you know, that I'm not making someone happy or that someone's disappointed.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was like not part of the reason that I was so like chipper all the time, but like I think that informed like the way I would talk to people would be like I'm always trying to put them first, and I'm always trying to like make them have a good time, and by extension, then I will have a good time probably. But that
Yeah.
also means that like it's very easy for me to feel disconnected from others and see and like maybe put them in like trying not to bother them. I'm like actually just giving them the silent treatment, which is not what I mean to do, but it like comes across that way, you know? So it's like, so there were definitely plenty of, for every like, 3 friends that I would have that I would be really good friends with, then there's just one person who I didn't know how to approach and felt bad about it. And then just, we had like a weird relationship, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like a lot of, I was putting pressure on myself to like be kind of I would get very worried if I had a wrong first impression, or if someone got like if I like put myself, like my actual self, forward to them and made that clear and they didn't like me, then I'd be fine with that. But there was a lot of times where I felt like I didn't have a chance to like explain who I was, and then people would stay away from me, and that kind of felt bad.
Damn, that's interesting. I kind of, I don't know, I can relate to that in a sense too. I am always like thinking about, like subconsciously, sometimes I don't even force it, just if people are, I don't know, if people are hating on me.
Right.
Okay, Dave, just interrupt. Ridwan.
Yeah.
That's all.
Ridwan was opening his heart to everyone, and you just came right on. Not a care in the world.
Vulnerable to the fucking world, and you
I
just
even hear what he said.
okay, you just fucking bust through the door.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, David. How are you?
No, don't give him like I don't know what to call it.
No,
Attention.
let
Be
me
nice.
speak. Dave, why were you not here?
Fuck you, Dave.
I went to the batting cages.
Okay, but you said I'm gonna be out for like an hour or so.
Yeah.
Why would
and-
you just? Oh my god, whatever.
All right. I'm assuming you're really deep into this already, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want me a bystander, or you guys get like?
You can yeah, bystander and then ask questions, and if we've already answered them, we'll just tell you to fuck off, I guess. Or I won't say that, but the others maybe will.
All right. I'm assuming you already talked about you going to college.
Not or sort of, kind of.
Yeah. No,
Sorta,
like
yeah.
the process of you like being super set on college and like trying to get out here.
Yeah, but not actual like college content yet.
All right. So that transition from. How was that? And then you've already talked to me. One thing I didn't want to seem kind of like nonchalant when you were talking to me the other day
Dave, you
about your
just said
college stuff.
just said our school. All right.
I'm sorry. But like I wanted to hear about it now. So how's college been for you?
Yeah. I am loving it. I was mentioning this like sort of, but like everything. Well, I don't know. It's been like I'm loving it because like even when I've it's been like a lot of high highs and low lows, but mainly high highs, and the low lows I think are beneficial for me because it's like it's something that when I was in high school it would have been just like kind of stagnant, you know, or like slowly increasing or decreasing. Whereas this feels like I'm learning more about myself, and that's like a step forward, even if it's like a bad experience. Um, so first semester I kind of put myself. This is once again like me sort of accidentally becoming a celebrity, which we mentioned
Yeah.
with Miles Manifesto, but like I was quick to, you know, as I said, like getting to college was like, let me try and it was sort of like my goal was like, let me try and like actually be happy this time, you know, and like actually like feel like what I'm doing is like satisfying to me and not just like, well, now that I finish all my college applications, I can stop pretending that I'm actually interested in my classes or activities when I'm not. Um, so like that was the goal, and so I just joined a whole bunch of like I auditioned for a play, I got into that. I auditioned for an a cappella group, I got into that. I auditioned for an improv group, I got into that. And so all of a sudden I'm like slowly getting like all these activities, and I became known just amongst like my little friend group, like my freshman friend group, or just like people that I knew more closely as like, what the hell are you doing? You're gonna kill yourself with all this stuff that you're involved in. And that was like my thing. But
Yeah.
and I wasn't like consciously doing that. Again, it was more like if I can just pile up with things that I'm actually enjoying, and am and still do actually enjoy all these things. But like it was so yeah, that was like my approach to it. And class was at the bottom of the priorities list. And I don't think that's because it was class. I think it's just because like the classes weren't like they were still interesting, like definitely more interesting than, or at least as interesting than some that I took in high school. But like that, I think I just got like a kind of mediocre batch in the first semester, but it
Yeah.
was still fine. And this semester, I think I have like much more opportunity to like learn things that I'm like, and I don't know. I feel like I've been complaining a lot about class. It's honestly like in high school and right now, I still am getting like some of the best education in like the country. So I'm not like ungrateful for that, but like I'm uh I'm kind of talking about like it with regard to like just my life and my extracurriculars and handling that, you know, what was going on.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I did that. I acted in two plays my first semester. One was called Bad Jews, and I played a Jewish younger brother. And I'm not Jewish, so I kind of like had to somewhat look the part by growing out my afro a bit, and that seemed to convince people. And that was one of the things that I think that's like the biggest development in terms of like making myself known by strangers on campus. Like people would come up to me like even by the end of the first semester, like 2 months after we had performed, like, oh hey, weren't you in Bad News? Like you were fantastic in that. And that was like that kind of, not only did it boost my ego a little bit, but it was like, okay, you know, I feel like I've kind of assimilated here, or I feel, again, it is like kind of it's not a paparazzi thing, but it's a thing of like, oh, these people know me. That's weird. But it's like, I don't know. It's still a bit of an ego boost and a bit of a, like a, okay, I accomplished something, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but more so than that was like, the other three actors in the production were all seniors, two of whom just graduated last semester. So they were in the second semester of their senior year. Um, and I became like really good friends with all of them. And then their friend group who had been, you know, they developed over the previous years. And so now I'm like, I know all these people and like they're some of my best friends, and like, and so I feel like I have connections. That's like the main thing was that, one, let me do these activities because I enjoy them. Two, I really want to like meet cool people. And that's the thing about like, I don't know, the thing that I would most say about, like, probably my best piece of advice to give to you youngsters is that like you don't need to like trying to make friends in college is so futile. It's like one of the most boring activities you can do, like introducing yourself to people and whatever in orientation groups. It's like it's so draining. But the way that like a much better way to make friends and meet people that you like being around is like go go to events that you enjoy, and then people who also enjoys those events will like, or those like extracurriculars, whatever, like they'll be there and they'll start talking to you.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that I was just like, when I say like known on campus, I mean that people knew that I was just, they recognized that I was doing what I liked, and that's like, and that's a cool thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so I'm still doing that, and I guess that would be like a general overview.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure if you remember from our last conversation, but we were in front of my current high school, and we were talking, and I remember you were talking with a lot of confidence over making a move across the country, and I was, well, one thing, I was kind of like scared for you, but you exude confidence in that moment. Would you say that came from, would you say that was ignorant at the time, or are you like happy that you had that?
Happy that I went across the country.
No, that you were, do you think it was smart that you're like confident about it? You know what I mean?
I think it was. I think it was a response to, um, it was a response to like just having a series of unsatisfying experiences. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna throw, it's gonna be whatever I'm uncomfortable with, I'm gonna get over it. And I'm gonna like, because that's, if I like stay in my little bubble, then I'm never gonna like get what I want.
Mm.
So that was like, I think that confidence was like, even if it was at times maybe a little bit stupid, like you kind of have to be stupid to get somewhere, I think. Um and that's definitely what happened for me, because I did very much overload myself in the first semester, and so now I've cut back on that because I learned the hard way. But it's much better to like, it's much easier for me to learn the hard way than to have people just telling me, "Oh, you're involved in too much stuff." Well, like I don't really care because I'm enjoying it all.
Yeah.
That was like my argument. But then like now the reason I've cut back is that like I want to have more just time to myself. So that's like a decision that I made. So I feel it. I definitely like it's giving me like more autonomy and control over like my space and my like environment that was not necessarily um, present last year.
Yeah. Okay.
You see your fro? I know,
Sorry.
just stepping back a little bit, but I want to see a picture of your fro because I always saw you with the
Yeah.
same exact hair all 3 years.
You
I
know
always
what?
wanted to see you do something with your hair.
I don't know if I have any like great pictures, but I can show you now. I can turn on my video in a second because I just recently cut my hair.
Does it look like how you look like in like 5th grade?
Have you guys
I
known
don't.
each other for that long?
Yeah.
No. Oh, yes, we have.
Huh.
That's like another. We can get into that in a bit, but like,
That's a deep part of the David. Is my last name. Miles.
yeah.
Of the Dave
Background.
lore.
Yeah, part of the Dave lore.
Let me find it. I don't know what's a good photo.
While you send that, I'm just interested, man. Dude, one thing, your podcast was one of the things that inspired me to like want to start this with Arjun and Ridwan.
Yeah.
What happened to that? Because that died after like 10 episodes.
Yeah. I was, that was a thing that like I wasn't always enjoying making them, not because it was like there was any beef or something or like any drama, but it was just something that I felt
Yeah.
was increasingly either not having time for or not being into it, I guess. But it was a good starting point, I think. I think I would do that again. It just like was kind of the wrong topic or structure or something that I was just getting bored of.
Okay, we see the picture.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
I sent a photo of how I looked freshman year.
Dude, I'm just interested also, how do you get on Spotify? I don't want to move our stuff to Spotify, but how did you?
You can use. There's a website called Anchor that I think allows you to put
Oh,
it on.
that thing. I always get commercials for that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll keep it in mind. But this is also just an interest of mine. What was your experience
You look
as
so
like
fine in this picture.
Oh,
Jesus
thank you.
Christ.
Yeah, all my
Yeah.
pimples are gone.
sorry, man. What was your experience as
Yeah.
like a black Mexican dude at our current high school where there's not
It
many?
was fine. It was like normal. I don't really like. I don't think. I think people who like cared about race in high school or what like would kind of point it out in a serious way were so annoying to me. Like I don't really care. Not okay, I shouldn't I this sounds like way too apathetic. Like I don't care in the sense that I don't think it's like
It didn't like
I don't
affect your
think you can have a
experience.
productive I don't think you can have a productive conversation about race when you're 15 years old. And I think it just gets nowhere. Um so that wasn't my focus and I didn't feel like I was treated any differently. It wasn't that I was treated differently. It would just be like, "Oh, Miles, like you're black, like tell us a you know, you like Drake or something." Like that wasn't and that's not like that sounds actually worse than it is. I don't think it was like I wouldn't consider that like harassment in the sense that like I knew these people and I could tell they're just okay, they're just being dumb. Like even if it is like a racially charged comment that sort of annoys me, it's like there's there's so much worse things they could say and there's so much like there's so it's such a tongue-in-cheek thing that it's like they're just okay, well you're just bad at comedy or something and that's your offense rather than being a racist. Because I don't think there if someone I don't think I ever like interacted with someone there definitely were like I would assume people who were racist but like I don't think I talked to them like I mean blatantly racist like blatantly like I don't know like you can sort of understand who is and who isn't and
Got it.
Yeah.
if some people are just like making bad jokes.
That is seriously the most W take of all time. I think that the word racism gets like thrown around so much for
Yeah.
like little things. Like you said, it's just like people being dumb sometimes, and it's like not actually that crazy serious.
'Cause there was like a there was I remember the story about there's a woman on Twitter who said something about it was like, "Oh, they want me to." She made some joke about being white that was like sarcasm. It was like a tweet that was sarcastically like, "Oh, I'm white. I'm better than everyone else." And then she got like fucking destroyed, and everyone and like her life was ruined because people were like, it was like cancel culture and all this shit. I'm like, can we like care about something else? Like this is so below everyone. It's such a waste of time to like get all in your panties about about like little you know little Timmy's racist comments and he you know he says like half the N word. Like who gives a shit? Like it's not actually like affecting your life in any way. So if you stop giving like dumb people attention, then they will stop like thinking they deserve attention. It's like such I don't know. It annoys me so much when like when we treat these like very large issues as something that like we deserve to get offended by like the smallest thing when people are like literally dying and being shot and like that's like I don't know like and even then like you can get angry about that but I think that like it's just such a there's like such an environment created around it around that that is just so toxic that like it's more about people trying to prove their own points and prove themselves and make people like them rather than actually getting anything done. So when I started to recognize that I just started to like care less and less not about like people dying or like not about the actual racism part of it, but just seeing how like it's like a social battle that is so uninteresting to me. Like I could not give less of a fuck. And it's like it's so toxic. I just want to get away.
Okay. Well, we're gonna wrap this up pretty soon, but just for timing. But if you were to like tell me the biggest difference between you right now and the last time we talked, what would you tell me?
Uh, hmm. I'm gonna try not to name one, but to name a few in like one kind of a. It's like a catch them all in a net or something.
Got it.
I'd say I feel like I'm much more. Uh, I feel like I'm much more supported and thus can stand like tall on my feet in a way that I couldn't in high school.
Mm.
So I feel like I can like be not that people would have like made fun of me for being myself in high school or would have like hated me, which is something I mentioned, but like now I'm like out in the world and I have people around me who I think are deserving of like getting to know me and who I think I'm like very grateful that they're in my life and that like that makes me
Mm.
more I just feel like a much stronger person.
I like that. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Okay, man. So, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And then we'll let you end this podcast however you want it.
Okay. I don't know if I can answer that. Well, I don't know where I see myself. I don't see myself anywhere because I'm not like if I try to predict that, I think I'm gonna make myself like way more worried for no reason. But like where I would like to be is having made or about to make my first feature movie.
Okay.
Sick.
And yeah,
Are these
I
like
I'm
That's incredible.
would that
That really is.
accomplishment to you like would that make you feel accomplished? That I just used the same word, the same thing. You know, would that achievement,
yeah.
that benchmark make you feel accomplished?
Benchmark is look up your thesaurus there. Yeah, I think it would or not. That's what I want right now, but really in 10 years I want to feel like I have lived and experienced 10 years is the thing and like that has been worth it. Um so making a movie right now seems like the way like you have a lot to get there with, you have a lot to do to get there. Um
Mhm.
and that's something that I would like to do. But even if I'm not there, then by the time I'm 28, then I want to be like I want to have um maximized those 10 years in whatever way and like feel like I'm progressing some.
Yeah, I'm sure you've talked about this, but are you talking about like acting in a movie or like writing a movie?
Oh, writing and directing one,
Mm.
ideally.
I see your
But
short films on YouTube and stuff.
yeah, I'd act in one surely, if I was offered a role, but I'm not gonna like I don't think I'll directly seek that out. Because that's more of a hobby that started in high school because there were no film classes and theater is the next best thing. But that also like taught me a lot about writing and directing and it's good to have a background in acting to like direct actors
Yeah,
and understand character and everything. So it's like I think that was a nice benchmark as you put it.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
man. Thank you so much for being on the Orange Juice podcast, man. Miles, I for
It was
real
a
miss
pleasure.
And we hope to see one of your movies one day, for real.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be the first in line.
So we'll let you end this on whatever whatever note you want to end it on, and yeah.
Uh there's a lot of pressure now. I guess whoever's listening to this, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope you find out what you're doing in life.
All right, thank you, man.
Figured. What?
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
Get Craig out of
And
here.
recording.
All right, thank you. I don't know how to make it leave.
Are you serious?
Click
Josh
do
cracked.
exactly what you said and then leave instead of join.
Oh, okay.